Right, we're fitting this Pioneer SPH-DA77DAB stereo into this Audi A4. Now the stereo itself is a short body and it is an L shape. It has wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth functionality, DAB radio, obviously touchscreen and normal terrestrial radio. Here we've got an Audi A4, it's the B7 model, and the customer wants a new stereo. Now the main reason for that is because his current stereo doesn't have Bluetooth. It was an optional extra on this actual vehicle at the time, which is unusual, but anyway, this is the original stereo. This is it here. Now, it's just this fitting aperture, so if you have a look in here, this is where the stereo actually sits. What you have air vents that drops all the way down here, so you've got all this gap here where the air vent goes, but you also got this heater control that actually goes below it. So all you got is this space here as a stereo, and as you can see, the bulk of the mechanism actually sits below the heater matrix, so the heater control goes over this and all of it is hidden underneath. Now this creates a bit of an issue when it comes to fitting a double din screened stereo in this vehicle. Now fitting a single din, it's not an issue at all, but it's fitting this double din stereo. So that's the original air vent that goes here, which as you can see is quite large, and it houses the smaller fascia of that stereo. So what we have to do is fit one of these fascia kits here, which actually has reduced the air vent. So when this goes in there, you can see it does fit in there quite nicely. You've got the double din aperture, and then you've got the air vents that's now reduced. Now you would think fitting a double din stereo in there is not an issue at all, but the actual air vents behind it is actually bigger than this slot here, so they've compensated that by putting like a blocker on there. But that also means that you can't actually get a full double din stereo in that hole there. It's just not deep enough. So the solution is a new stereo that's not long been launched, and that's the Pioneer SPH-DA77DABs. Now let me show you the stereo. This is a stereo, so it's a double din screen stereo, but if you have a look at it, it's got it's even a short body at the back there, so that's not even a full-size body. So there's a shorter body there, but it has a really thin top bit. Now there are stereos out there that has this sort of functionality, but the other way around. So basically this sits on top and the bottom bit is thin, but there isn't really any solutions that's like this, apart from this new Pioneer stereo that's now been launched. So as you can see, when it goes into the hole there, it's just got loads of room, because we no longer have that depth issue with the top part of that stereo. So this stereo itself has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, has DAB, obviously Bluetooth, normal radio. It's all touchscreen, and we're going to fit it with a fitting kit that would allow the factory controls to all work from it as well. So what we'll do, we'll get this all installed, and then I'll show you the functionality of this radio to show you how it works. So it's this radio that's the real solution for this car. Right, that's the stereo completely in. If you have a look, it sits in the fascia of this Audi A4. So you've got DAB radio. If you go into the menu there, if you go into sources, and that's where you can flip between the different sources. So you've got normal terrestrial radio. And if we just go into what we'll do, we'll just connect my phone to it. Just to show you, so I'm looking for devices there, so I'm just pairing it, going yes, so just going for the feature, allowing, enable CarPlay, go yes, use CarPlay, just give it a chance to connect up. Now we've got CarPlay. And as you can see, it's completely wireless, and same with Android Auto as well. So the functionality on here, the menu on this Pioneer, usually that's on that side, but it's on this side for this particular stereo. But that brings you into all the compatible apps for Apple CarPlay, Waze, Google Maps, whatever mapping system that you use, Spotify. You could also use Amazon Audio or Apple Audio. That would all work on this as well. So that gives you the Apple CarPlay side of it, and obviously it just modernises the whole car, because it's not a new car, hasn't got latest tech. Even the factory stereo didn't even come with Bluetooth, so he didn't have sat nav. So at least all this gives him everything that you need, that you'd expect in a modern vehicle. So just to go back into the normal menu, all you have to do is just quickly push that, and then you can flick back into radio, go into sources, you can flick into radio, or go back into Apple CarPlay. It's up to you. Now with this particular stereo, you have like a little menus thing on the left hand side, which is a shortcut to various bits and pieces that you want to go to. So basically you could have it on this screen here, you could increase the volume or change the channels of the music that you're playing. You could then customize your audio, and you could just basically quickly go into it without having to go into the settings to do this. And radio, you could tune in your radio stations and just have it on there, so again without having to go into the radio or go into the settings to do it. So you could program this shortcut to do what you like. You've got the edit button there to do that. Volume control obviously could be controlled by this, but we also got the volume control on the steering wheel controls, so that could be done there. The other main feature being in this Audi A4, the factory stereo controlled a lot of the vehicle settings. So we managed to interface that into the stereo. So what you have to do is go into camera, push and hold the OK button, and then it brings up this menu here. So you could go into your vehicle settings, so all the functions that you had from the old stereo will still play out here. So one of the main things, because this car, you haven't got a normal dipstick, so to actually check the engine oil level, you have to go into the stereo menu. So it's really important that you still have this sort of functionality to the stereo by fitting aftermarket stereo, because if you don't, you can't check your oil level. Why cars don't use normal dipstick, I don't know, because it just makes life a lot easier. So that's the Pioneer SPH-DA77DAB installed on this Audi A4.